In an episode of Ding Dongs, Killer Confessions and Cliffhangers, we are one step closer to finding out who killed Saz. We've got so much to talk about, so welcome to your Only Murders in the Building breakdown. Folks, I'm gonna say it, that was my favourite episode of the season so far. It did everything that Only Murders in the Building is just perfect at doing. They can craft these beautiful emotional stories where we're doubting these characters episode after episode after episode, and then all of a sudden they drop this emotion bomb on you towards the end of the season where you go, and you're holding back the tears and you're going, wow, this is deep, and you fall in love with these characters. All these backstories with especially the Westies, and then just as they're doing that as well, they're amusing you with this humour, and then as everything wraps up nicely in a bow, they go, we're going to sprinkle a little bit of chaos in there as well and go, here's a cliffhanger for next week. And boy, oh boy, they are perfect at doing that. We're going to talk through the episode, look at the clues, look at the hints, talk about who we think the killer is. For me, we're looking at somebody from season 1. We're looking at an OG. And let me tell you this, folks, if the producers and if the people who've written the story, if we're getting meta right now on the Only Murders team, if they've planned this since season 1, they deserve all the roses in the form of Emmys in the next Emmy season, because this show, and I'm not even kidding to those of you who aren't watching it, obviously everyone who is here is watching it, is one of the best shows in TV in the last few years. Because trust me, in the age of streaming, so much stuff, I nearly said another word there, stuff is getting churned out on Netflix, on all these different streaming platforms, and then they're just cancelled immediately. Only Murders in the Building is the one to watch. This is a show that people are going to talk about for tens and tens of years to come, and rightfully so. But anyways, we're going to break down this episode. I just wanted to sing some praises for the show initially because I love it. I love it so much. But anyways, the Westies finally talked this episode, and the majority of this episode was about these confessions where they made us for a second go, oh, what's going on here? But then as things unraveled and untwined, every single one of them had a reason for their relationship with Dudenoff and what happened to Dudenoff when he died. We found it out because this season's been split into 2 murders, the Saz murder and the Dudenoff murder, which we found out mid-season, and we finally solved the Dudenoff murder. And boy oh boy, just like when we saw Bunny in season 2, when we think she's just this cranky, you know, old woman who lives in the building who isn't very nice, Only Murders storyline just comes in and goes, that ain't the truth. Here's some truth. We learned that each and every single one of them was connected to Dudenoff and how they ended up as part of the Oh Hell card family. So the Source family were the first ones to come across Dudenoff. Dudenoff and his wife used to go to the restaurant that the Source family used to work at. And he was like, this is great. So rather than just completely stopping his relationship with the Source family after his wife passed away, he decided to order food to go. And then all of a sudden this relationship built up with the Source family where they were coming around every single Friday night for good food and good card games. Next up to meet the Source family, of course, was Christmas All the Time guy. He was monologuing A Few Good Men, and Dudenoff, of course, being a film buff, he was taken aback by this. He was like, this is pretty cool. So then he invited him into his apartment. He enjoyed introducing him to the ham radio, all that kind of stuff. Christmas All the Time guy Rudy ended up getting his own ham radio. And then he said, hey, we've got a card game on Friday night. Why don't you come along? So then he joined the family. And then last but certainly not least, something that I think for me was very emotional was watching Vince's story into how he became part of the Oh Hell card family. He made a promise to his wife when he passed away that he didn't want to become one of those strange or weird old men, quote unquote. So he joined a film class that Dudenoff was teaching, and of course the classic It's a Wonderful Life was playing, and this class is filled with a lot of 20-year-olds, and Vince, of course, is older, pushing 60, 70. And everyone's got a different view on this, and I'm going to talk for a second about how I feel, because I'm somebody in my 20s, so I would have fitted in with that crowd, and they all of a sudden went on this ramble about how it's all about capitalism, and the movie's not an all-time classic. Okay, maybe for him it's not, but for a lot of people, It's a Wonderful Life is. I will say this for sure, folks, right? And I'm gonna drop a bomb on some people right now. I've never seen It's a Wonderful Life. Just gonna take a sip of coffee while y'all digest that. I've never seen It's a Wonderful Life, and I have had multiple people tell me it's the greatest Christmas movie of all time, and it's just a brilliant film that's beautiful, poignant, all that wonderful stuff. I've never seen it. Let me know if you think I should watch it, but yeah, I've never seen it. And Vince comes through and talks about, you know, it's special to me. It means a lot to me, and then he goes on this tangent about how come sometimes a movie can't just be a movie. I agree with that sentiment. I'm being careful how I word these things here, but the people close to me know how I feel about this. But I can't really stand how a lot of people who do, because I can't stand how a lot of people who study film think their opinion is above other people once they have studied it. Because I know people who've studied film who are like that, and I know people who've studied film that have came out and have that Vince outlook, the Vince Fish outlook, where sometimes a movie's just a movie, and if it entertains, fantastic. I don't like the hoity-toity, letterboxed crowd who are very much just, we only are going to rate this movie high if all the other hoity-toity people rate it high. A movie is something that's supposed to be special for a different... Listen, you might like one movie and the other person might hate one movie. There isn't a set mold, and that's, I think, what Vince was trying to say. Sometimes can't a movie just be a movie? And to me, that was really, really special, because at that point when this guy turned around and said, I like being by myself, it was definitely a throwaway comment, and Vince actually talked about what it's like being by himself when you've loved this lady your whole life, and then all of a sudden she's gone, she's passed away. That's true loneliness. There's a difference between, because listen, I'm somebody, I like being a lone wolf sometimes. I like my own time, but I don't like feeling lonely, and there's a difference there. So making a throwaway comment saying you like being alone, it's loaded, because there are people who would kill not to be alone. So you got to be careful how you phrase that stuff. I was 100% with Vince, and seeing the emotion pour out of that story was beautiful. He got invited also to the card night to play Oh Hell, and there you go, he had joined this card family. And then the last member to join was Helga, who, under the impression of the rest of this season, we have believed was Rudy's crazy ex, but again we found out that was a cover-up. She was actually a locksmith. She came to fix Dudenoff's door. That's not a euphemism, folks. And she bonded with him over the fact that she said that her dad looks a little bit like him as well, give or take. And she also knew the theme song to Perfect Strangers, and Dudenoff was surprised by this due to the age gap. And you know, they found themselves coming together and going, hey, we got something in common here. And Dudenoff said, we've got a card game on Friday nights, why don't you come along to it? And just like that, a new family was born in the city. Dudenoff did, of course, it was the truth. He leased the houses to, or leased the apartments to every single person there, so they could, you know, it was rent controlled. And like they said in New York City, it's hard to get an apartment unless mommy and daddy pay for it, and that holds true. And it really resonated with the OG trio, because at the end of the day, they were three lonely people in the city who just were longing for some sense of family, and 4 seasons later, they got that. Anyways, we found out that Dudenoff, he said he only had a few months left to live, so he'd taken himself down to the incinerator room, and he sat there in his suit and tie and his tuxedo with a camera sat in front of him. He'd asked everybody else to come down to come and see him, and apart from Helga, because Helga talked about how her father had passed away, and he didn't want her to go through the trauma again of losing somebody who could resemble a father figure, so they kept it secret from Helga. And that's why all these lies are being fabricated, to cover Helga away from Dudenoff's death, and that's why the phrase is the crazy ex and all that kind of stuff. So when she wasn't the crazy ex at all, she was just somebody who they've had to shield. Dudenoff, of course, says he's taken a bunch of pills, and he wants every single person from the Source family to Vince to the Christmas All the Time guy to put his body into the incinerator after he passes away, and to tell everybody else that he's gone to Portugal so they can still cash his social security checks and stay in the building under rent control. Honestly, guys, it was a very, very beautiful story. Tragic, but beautiful. And I think it clears all the Westies. I'm putting that out there. I think it clears all the Westies from being the killer of Saz. I don't think that's true at all. Like, that was their story wrapped up in my eyes. Maybe we'll see them in future seasons as people in the background. The Arconia, like we see Lester or Uma or whoever. Or maybe they'll just disappear like many characters have in this show. But, you know, we'll see. Anyways, the big cliffhanger at the end of the episode came when we found out Helga went to the trio and said, "Hey guys, there's something I didn't tell you, but it came to my head just now, and I'm going to give you the info." She said that Saz had been using the radio just before she had passed away, and she was trying to find all the plot holes of the Only Murders podcast and digging into stuff, trying to find stuff, and she'd also expressed some personal concerns while she was doing that. She said to Helga, "I'm working on this movie right now, and the guy who is, I guess, my protege, who I'm teaching to be the stuntman, is kind of going insane. He's apparently going to be the death of me," she said. Quote unquote, the death of me. So then they pull up IMDb and they find out who it is. Folks, it's Glenn Stubbins. Glenn Stubbins, who was shot a few episodes ago and was Ben Glenroy's stunt double from last season. This is crazy. I love... Season 4 is doing a marvellous job of just intertwining every single thing together. So, of course, the question at the end of that episode was, did Glenn Stubbins go crazy or insane and kill Saz? We've definitely seen him be a little bit wild, especially in his introduction episode this season. We all were kind of thinking, this guy's bonkers. On top of the fact it was Paul Rudd's back, the other thought was, this guy's weird. Now, do I think it's Glenn Stubbins? I'm going to go ahead there and say no, I don't think it is. I think it's just another piece to the puzzle towards the end of this season, and they're really toying around with something to do with season 1. I've seen people say they think it's Uma. I don't think it is. I've seen people say they think it's Lester. I'm leaning towards Lester more. Even people have brought up Teddy Demas, who hasn't been around for a minute. It feels like it's an ode to the whole story so far. I do think it's somebody from season 1, maybe combined with someone from season 2. The Trina and Tawny brothers, I think we cleared them up a couple episodes ago. If I'm honestly looking at things, I think it's 2 people still, and I think it's going to be a combo of Bev Mellon with the season 1 person, or Marshall Peapope again with the season 1 person. I think it's going to be a season finale in a couple of weeks' time that absolutely blows our minds and subverts expectations beyond belief. 1 second they're going to be like, it's this person, and then somebody from season 1 steps out and all of our minds are going to be blown. Again, I could be totally wrong, but I'm only going off the clues that we have, that there is a theme of season 1 sewn into this tapestry of the season that is so... Oh, I just love it. Whatever it is, they're doing it right, and I love it, folks. And it's my bet. Do you know what? I'm just going to throw some... Because I wouldn't even know where to start with who it is from season 1. I think Bev Mellon is one of the killers. Yeah, I'm going to go with Bev Mellon as one of the killers. There's something off with her. We haven't wrapped everything up there. We really haven't. And when she was in that cabin earlier in Saz's trampoline park, and she was like, "Oh, it's you guys. Whoopsie-doo. I'm going to head off now." Bullshit. Bullshit, my friends. I don't buy that at all. Bev Mellon is still suspicious for me. I think it's Bev Mellon paired with someone from season 1, but only time is going to tell. That is all of your Only Murders in the Building breakdown for today, folks. I thoroughly hope you all enjoyed it. Apologies for not being there last week. Things got a little bit busy on my end, so I wasn't able to do a video, but of course we are back here, and the story is really starting to wrap up, and I am so freaking excited to see where it goes, who it was, and who's gonna... Listen, if we're going on Only Murders fashion, somebody's going to be killed in 2 weeks' time to lead us in to season 5, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I appreciate you. Please don't forget to subscribe. I'll be covering more of your favourite TV shows on here very soon. We just wrapped up finishing a season of Big Brother, which was an extraordinary season. Of course, we've got Only Murders going on right now. Watch this space for more TV content coming out very soon. So subscribe, hit the like button, but until your next Only Murders in the Building breakdown, I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.